Hi, I'm James from Bellrock. I help leaders understand the intersection of where risk meets people. Today, I'm joined by Kimberly Lewis, CEO of Prelude Australia, and we're going to start by doing something different, Kimberly. So welcome, of course, and yeah, take us through an acknowledgement, but with a bit of a twist, an acknowledgement of country.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's such a privilege to be able to talk all things governance and risk and people.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought we could do acknowledgement of country today. So we're meeting on the beautiful lands of the Awabakal people here. But I thought I would teach you how to do it in keyword sign.
Oof, amazing. Let's do it.
So keyword sign is a form of alternative augmentative communication that children and adults might use to communicate.
Yep.
And it uses the signs from Auslan and puts it into English word order.
Okay, and so is it different, so is it specifically for people with a hearing impairment, or it can go more broadly?
Any sort of communication difficulty.
Wow.
So it's there to either be an alternative to speech or augment speech, so to help.
Cool.
Or it might be, a lot of children use it while they're learning how to, use their voice and communicate in different ways.
Okay,
so,
great, let's do it.
I need to know firstly, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is that bad?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. All right, I'm feeling nervous already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have asked before we let the
no, that's okay.
camera go. Okay, so we're going to do just a simple acknowledgement.
Yep.
So the easiest thing to do is you just copied me, but I'm right-handed. So when I use my right hand, you're going to use your left.
Right.
hand.
Okay. Done. Yep.
Okay. So I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands on which we meet, and pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Perfect.
Okay, great. I don't remember any of that, but that was amazing. I was just copying you and basically white knuckle sweating the whole time. But that was incredible. I reckon wait till we see that on video. That'll be even better. So thank you. That was amazing.
No worries.
So let's just launch into it then, because this is like I said here, this is all a yarn about the people behind the organisations and what motivates you and what gets you out of bed in the morning. So straight into the icebreaker. So you're at a barbecue with your family, with a bunch of people that know nothing about the sector you work in, and you get the whole, what do you actually do, Kimberly? How do you answer that question?
Yeah. So I do get asked that question a lot, like everyone, and usually just launch in with I'm the CEO of Prelude Australia.
Yep.
And share with them that Prelude Australia is an early childhood and therapy support service that provides services to children and their families.
Amazing.
I usually go in with the CEO title, and I do that intentionally because I hope to give people a little bit of insight into the actual work I do day to day, and to make sure that I'm not getting the credit for all the amazing work that our frontline staff are doing. Because I love my job and I love the ability that I have to lead teams. I've got 4 different teams across the broader Hunter region, and we do partnerships up in Moree and Grafton as well. So lots of really amazing diverse work, but the reality of my day is it's also diverse, but usually I'm sitting behind a computer doing the things that keep the organisation running, the strategy, the governance, the risk management. And so I am also very lucky though, I get to come and do exciting things like a vodcast, which we just learned the word
we learned
of.
that, didn't we? Yeah, vodcast,
But I'm always really proud to share my story when I'm at a barbecue, because I love my job and I love the work that I do. But I do usually tell people that I have a background working as a speech pathologist. And then 99.9% of people will say to me, "Oh, can you teach me how to talk?"
Teach me how to talk. Well, I feel like there's a lot of people in my social circle that could be taught how to talk. That's for sure.
But depending what type of barbecue it is, obviously, the more drinks people have, the more or they might need some support to do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, I'm always very proud to share the work that I do and how that's evolved over time.
Oh, awesome. And look, it's great to have you here today, Kimberly, and I already know that, you know, like a lot of these conversations, it could go all sorts of interesting sidebars, but I do want to kind of keep it on track a little bit. So I guess let's move on and go, what gets you out of bed in the morning and what motivates you to continue showing up for the sector? So I guess for yourself, it's pediatric NDIS services, but what keeps you motivated against, you know, what can seem like a pretty challenging set of odds thrown at you on a regular basis?
I think I am so privileged and grateful for the fact that I do love my job. So I don't have that getting out of bed is a hard. I'm not a morning person because the thing that does actually get me out of bed is my 2-year-old screaming "Mum" at me well before 6 a.m. But I do generally get excited about what I've got to do and what I can achieve and how I can contribute each day. For me, it's really around having the job in the not-for-profit sector. That's really important for me as a person, in terms of my personal values and where I want to sort of exist in the world. The thing I really like about working in the not-for-profit sector is, again, having that, you know, it's by design. The structure is there to make sure that decisions are being made for purpose. And there's not this internal motivator around profit or commissions or bonuses or anything like that. And I do remember, even in the not-for-profit sector, when the NDIS was first launched in 2013, there was a lot of conversation about whether those things should be introduced in the NDIS space. And I've been very committed to, you know, my view on that, to say I just don't think it is a good alignment with not only the not-for-profit sector but for the disability space. You know, it's a very, like many community services, a very vulnerable place to work. And I don't think there should be any blurring in terms of why people do get out of bed in the morning and what they're hoping to achieve. But for me, in addition to the not-for-profit space, it's also, you know, working in disability and early intervention is really important to me. And I think that comes down to not only my lived experience of having a disability, but I'm sort of very driven by, you know, that sort of social justice framework of I fundamentally believe that all people have the right to meaningfully participate in their lives, in the community, in their family, at school. So not only do I believe in inclusion, but I think it goes above and beyond that. And I think if I can have the opportunity to, even broadly in my position as CEO, support and contribute and build capacity in families and children's lives and in the community to help that happen. And, you know, maybe that is me sending an email or, you know, connecting with, you know, other stakeholders or turning up for my team in different ways. I feel like that has that flow-on effect that if I can support the organisation and our team, they can focus on doing the good work that they do every day.
Okay. Well, I'm totally, I hear on all of that. I want to come back to that other point though at the start though and go, so definitely I'm with you on the not putting in incentives, or let's call it, you know, not profit share, you know, bonuses or whatever, but how do you balance that against the whole need to, or I guess traditionally the view by a lot of commercial business sectors that not-for-profit means just inefficiently run, as opposed to going, well, definitely you're not delivering, you know, dividends to sharedholders, but where does your view sit in that space in terms of efficiency and delivering a surplus for you
Yeah.
guys.
And I think, there's the age of saying that it's not for profit doesn't mean not for loss.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so for me, it's really around, okay, well, what are the expectations in the not-for-profit sector around margin? The expectation should be that there is a margin,
Yep.
because I think a margin is your first line of defence against risk. So
okay, I
whether
like
that is, whether that's financial risk,
Yep.
reputational risk, workforce risk, but it affords the organisation protection.
Yes.
And for me, the ability to protect the organisation protects everyone. So I think that's really important to look at it in that respect. Remind me of the question again, because I feel like I've gone off my own tangent. But I'll come back.
No,
so you're
I
talking
like
about
it. Like as in like how you balance. It's like you want to care for people. You want to make sure that the services are delivered, and it's not just a
efficiency. Sorry.
But talk to us about efficiency. Yeah. This is good. I like it. Yeah.
But I think when you're looking at that, okay, well, what are we expecting around margin and profit?
Yep.
And why? That's where my tangent went.
Yep,
Why are we doing that?
Yep.
But in terms of efficiency,
Tangents are good.
you still
This is sidebar.
the not-for-profit is still, like pre-illustrate, is still a business.
Yeah.
And as a leader of that business, it's my obligation, responsibility. I've got accountabilities to make sure that we run it like a business.
Yeah.
But I again go back to that that the why motivator of, if it is inefficient and if we are not supporting our team to be fully using businessy words being fully utilised, and making sure that we've got really clear and high expectations for how people are using their time. If we don't do that, then we're not serving the children that we're there to support. Because
absolutely.
I think if we're not-for-profits, if they are not efficient, they are not serving or progressing their mission in the way that they really do need to.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think there is a balance in that, and I've certainly had some robust conversations with accountants over the years. And we can guess who that might be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a couple.
But there is also a line, and that's again why I like working in the not-for-profit sector, because there is a fairly clear and hard boundary around at what point do you have to balance the productivity piece with the people that we're serving, and the productivity piece with the culture of which we want people to be able to enjoy and work in. And I think both of those two things are so important, because if you get the culture stuff wrong, you don't have a workforce available to serve the children that the children that we exist for.
Yes.
So again, in the same way that I have very limited interest in the whole commission, more billable hours you do, the more we're going to reward you with money, because I think that puts ethical decisions on frontline staff. But I think, in the same way, both that making sure you've got the culture right and the productivity right is this magical formula, which again, nobody's got right. Like, I'm not saying that we've figured it out and we've got all the answers, because we certainly don't, but I'm very proud of the way that we lead and we support the organisation. But it's complex. It's complex for sure.
It is, and I almost feel like culture should be nearly a 4-letter word, because it's almost like, not the dreaded C word, that it's like, but it does make or break an organisation. And I think I've had 3 or 4 conversations in the last week with different clients and different organisations we work with, where it's just they're fundamentally getting the culture piece wrong. And as you said, everything else, like, whether it's staff turnover, injuries at work related or not, just everything just falls apart.
And I think that's interesting in terms of reflecting on how we actually measure culture, right? So I think some of those traditional measures are things like turnover.
Yep.
And turnover is an interesting one because turnover can absolutely indicate that you haven't got the culture bit right.
Yep.
Or turnover can indicate some things about your workforce. For example, you know, we're a heavily female-dominated industry. So, and we exist in the middle of regional, you know, New South, not geographically middle, but we are in the, the heartland of regional New South Wales.
Yep.
So some of that turnover is predictable because we're supporting a workforce of women who are generally in the age where they're having babies, and they're they've got that. You know, that's the season of life that they're in. They're coming in and out of the workforce in a way that they can prioritise their family. I think too around how do we measure culture, you know, some people go, okay, well, do we measure that based on staff feedback? What are staff telling us? And I will often say to our executive team and our leaders, when people tell me there's something that they're not happy with in terms of the culture or policy or processes, for me, I think that's such a great indication of a healthy culture. Because it tells me that my team have psychological safety
to be able to
come to the
raise that
CEO
issue.
at the door of the CEO's office and say like, hey Kimberly, like this thing's not making sense to me. Can you tell me more about it or give me the why behind it? So I don't see all staff feedback as like a complaint that you can put on a spreadsheet to, you know, say, oh, okay, well, you know, how this month we've had 3 and last month we had 4. I think it's really about unpacking again what story are numbers telling us, and are we measuring the right numbers?
Oh, totally. That's that's what I mean. We could go down total vortexes on this. It's good.
I warned you when you invited me on
I did. No, that's good. I like it. I love going on these little sidebar quests, but I'm going to bring it back onto task a little bit, and we'll just see where we go again. But yeah, I guess so. The next one is what do you see the biggest challenges, Kimberly, in terms of what do you see the biggest risk and governance challenges facing the sector or your part of the charities sector? What keeps you awake at night in that space, aside from children?
Can I take us away from governance a little bit?
Definitely.
That's probably more adjacent.
Governance adjacent.
Governance.
That's a good.
It's been coined here.
Yeah, that's right. New term.
But I think for us in early intervention and the not-for-profit space, when I think about what's challenging us at the moment, and I think this is probably transferable to other sectors, is this constant change. So, you know, I've been joking recently about, you know, it is exhausting leading through once in a generation change because I've done that a few times now. And, you know, it is that, you know, the only constant issue. But I think that the challenge for our sector is that the sector has come from a space that was prior to the NDIS and, you know, ultimately the privatisation of disability services in Australia was a very collaborative sector.
And do you think that was driven by block funding itself or driven by some structural elements of the sector in that sort of that was like sort of like the ADAC era, wasn't it? Like, and again, so I'm in my 40s, so I can't speak. I've sort of had a 20-year-ish career. So yeah, you can probably get some different insights from different people in that space. But from and obviously my leadership career has, again, been tracking that same trajectory. So I certainly didn't have the information 20 years ago. I wasn't at the tables that I'm at now. Or there wasn't even Teams meetings back then. Part of me goes, thank God.
But I think what's happened with this constant reform is that not-for-profits and NDIS providers, as the level of uncertainty has gone up, The level of collaboration or the risk around true and genuine collaboration has gone down.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I think where some of that has come from is, and we're seeing it play out, you know, in different environments on social media, you know, certainly, where people, I think, where there's uncertainty, people tend to self-protect.
Yeah.
They self-protect, you know, their work, their teams, their families, their business. They're part of the sector, and I think it can be really dangerous in many ways, because I truly believe, and from a values position, I truly believe there's so much power and opportunity in partnerships. And so I think where the sector moved, as it's been privatised, there's been this really interesting change and shake-up around, well, is this a partnership or are we now competing? You know, are we competitors? And I think there's been certain pockets, and again, I recognise the privilege and the unique position I am in as a leader of a not-for-profit. Very, very different to small business. Very, very different to sole traders. Because every change impacts every business type differently. But I think where and particularly, the Hunter has a really collaborative culture, I find. I have worked in Sydney for a few years, again, not in the same positions, but I have always been really impressed with the collaboration in Hunter, particularly in early intervention. So I have made really intentional decisions around how we, again, by design, incorporate partnerships in an NDIS model. And then we zoom back out and go back to the governance question. I think one of the biggest challenges...
Well, that was governance adjacent, for sure.
It's governance, absolutely. But we go like governance central. I think when you're looking at those changes and reform of the early intervention and the not-for-profit sector, what it does is increases, and that NDIS space has increased the expectation and the role of the board. So, you know, where, again, we haven't had this opportunity of we've been around for 45 years now, we haven't had 45 years of banking profit. Do you know what I mean? As a not-for-profit, we certainly have a healthy financial position, but we're not in a position where we can be paying board members you know, significant amounts of money to employ them. So we run off a volunteer board, like many NDIS providers.
I'd say the majority, really, except for a couple of large.
So that brings with it its own governance challenges, because then as a CEO, you're doing quite a lot of work. You sort of, you know, in the sandwich of leading the team in operations, but then also making sure there is some level of leadership around supporting a volunteer board to be forming their own team. There is turnover at the board all the time because again, they're volunteers, so people come in. But making sure that you've got how I can influence that to make sure that I'm working with our directors and our chair and different people on the board to make sure we've got the right board composition, the right, you know, we're really looking at skills matrix, making sure we've got a skill-based board, having the right types of skills at the right time, as well, so that we can be all working together to be, you know, responding early to the changes of this disrupted sector that we all face.
And look, and I think without going into it here, but you look at the last 6 months, specifically to the NDIS space, it's been volatile in terms of a lot of significant changes, and some of them, you know, obviously leading pretty closely into the end of financial years and all sorts of things like that. And, you know, cynically, I always wonder about the motivators when they land, when there's sudden changes that land at specific or what appears to be opportune times. I'm always a bit, So,
and I think it comes back to what we're talking about, you know, a culture and risk management as well. But the thing right now that teams and families and partners and everyone are looking towards leadership for is safety.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and reassurance
Yep.
and knowing that somebody is advocating for the things that they find important at work, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
for us, the children and families.
Yes.
But certainly making sure that, you know, my team feels safe, that I'm also doing everything I can to make sure that the organisation will continue to roll through the next
Yeah.
you know, round of reform.
Yeah.
And it comes back down to, ultimately, I think, does the team trust me?
Yeah.
Does the team trust our board?
Yeah.
To know we're doing everything that we should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To make sure that we respond in a way that, again, continues to support children and families.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit. It's a bit. That's what I mean, and I guess that's what I absolutely wanted to emphasise through this series is that I'm not saying the public misunderstand the role of organisations like yours, but I think that some elements of the general populace who don't interact with a service like you guys wouldn't fully appreciate how much skin in the game everyone's got. So like whether it's yourself, whether it's the board, whether it's your team, and they're doing work predominantly from a heart-led place as well. And I'm not saying you're underappreciated, I just think it's good to bring more light to those stories so that hopefully more people understand the great work that organisations like you guys do, but also the amount of commitment and skin in the game that people like yourself and the board in leadership positions actually put into the pot to go and you know keep things moving. So no, it's a great, it's a constantly shifting playing field for you guys, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so let's keep this rolling. I like this. There's some good segues into segues here, so this is good. But I guess so then we've talked about governance challenges, we've talked about what motivates you, we've talked about the whole sort of, you know, I guess for want of a better term, the elevator pitch. But what actually got you into the sector in the first place, Kimberly? Or how did you decide? Because it was speech pathology, is that what it was? Yeah. So what sort of led to you ultimately landing where you are today in terms of the disability sector?
Yeah. A good careers counsellor.
Yep.
Gave me some advice, actually. But I really wanted to do a job that would contribute back to the community. And I'm deaf, so I was born deaf in my right ear when I was born.
Yep.
Obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, I developed Meniere's disease when I was a teenager.
Yep.
So I've had fluctuating hearing loss.
And that's a hearing related condition, isn't it?
Yeah, hearing imbalance. So I have a hearing aid in my left ear and a cochlear implant in my right ear, which is also one of the I guess the touch points for me around why I find not only communication but signing really important.
Yep. Nice.
But yeah, so I had a speech pathologist when I was little. I don't have good memories of my time.
Right. Okay.
And so I thought, you know what, I might, you know, do the classic wounded healer thing, become a speechy, become a better speechy, you know.
I'll show them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And see what I could do.
Yep.
Anyway, so long story short, my hearing ended up getting worse while I was at university, so I fell into, you know, that true disability sector.
Yep.
Because it was a really good match for me, because I could utilise my speech pathology skills, but a lot of the children, adults I worked with were, they were non-verbal communicators.
Right.
So I got to do all the signing and the high-tech device stuff and the pictures, and so it was this really perfect little, you know, part of the world that I could marry those two things up together.
Yeah.
But then I recognised that I was only able to do a small piece of this, and again, I often make the joke that I'm actually a pretty crappy speech pathologist because I can't hear, you know, like, and I was like, you know, surely I've done all this training, surely I can have a bigger impact. So I started getting into leadership, and I got really interested in the psychology of leadership, how to motivate people and teams. So I started doing a leadership role, and then got the classic imposter syndrome of, and I pull people up for this all the time, and I hope I don't do it anymore, But at the barbecue, I would say, oh, I'm just a speech pathologist.
Yeah, right.
I'm just.
Oh, the whole like minimising language.
Minimising it, and women do it all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went and got my MBA.
Yeah.
And fell in love with that intellectual side of business and numbers and making everything, you know, where's the puzzle piece and the strategy. So it's been a really nice, you know, journey for me in terms of where did I start and how has my career progressed and evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, going back to the reason why I get out of bed in the morning is the same reason why I started uni in the first place. Which is to support children and families. So I'm so lucky. To have that opportunity.
That's amazing, and it's like the interesting thing I've found with this series is that question has caused a lot of really interesting responses for people, because I think a lot like you clearly know, and you've got this like quite clear idea in your head that you're working to a plan based on some defined strategy, whereas some people that I've spoke to in this series have ended up in the sector almost like not by accident or anything, but it's just they've fallen into it and then they've sort of followed the bouncing ball. And I think either's great, but at the end of the day, what I think is interesting is what gets you in the door probably isn't what keeps you in a sector like the charity space for years and years. So I know that there's a lot more to it, and that's what we've been talking about is the broader the why, and the broader, I guess, sort of heart and soul and ethics piece that you get when you work in a sector like the charity space, as opposed to something that's purely profit driven. Not that I'm saying that there's an issue with that. I'm just saying it's just different. All right, last question, and I reckon the most interesting one of all. So, what would be, Kimberly, 3 things you put in a letter to your younger self that you wish you knew 20 odd years ago? And I ask this because I have asked this question of myself many times, and I've got a bunch of different answers. But would love to know your take on that.
I think you're cheating a bit because that feels like 3 questions.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Look, I think for me one of the biggest lessons I've learnt is giving myself the opportunity to reflect on, am I in the right job? So I think I've worked for the government, I've done some private practice work, I've done not-for-profit, I've done middle management, I've done, the executive sort of CEO position. And I think although there was a really strong alignment with, the values piece, I knew on all of those things, my why has been the same, but the job has been very different.
Ah, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you think about that sort of like, job fit concept, I do believe that whether it's my personality or my husband will absolutely tell you that I'm a control freak. I like to make decisions. But I do think I actually really struggled in that middle management space. Because what I learnt from that is that I didn't have a seat at the table. And that I found that really frustrating. And I also didn't have the opportunity to make decisions that leaders get to make around the allocation of resources within an organisation. So, and you're making decisions that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do the double click and understand the why on, because you're not privy to or it hasn't been communicated around the 5-year strategy. So for me, it was sort of like making sure I could move around this sector that I knew was the right sector for me, but trying to figure out, okay, what's the right job?
So you're saying you'd put in that note, don't do middle management? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
absolutely not. And I actually say this to leaders all the time. I think I honestly believe one of the most important roles you have as a leader is to create other leaders. How do you develop your team? But there is, again, this delicate balance, because you also need to make sure that you're showcasing the good work that you're doing and the work that you're doing and what that job looks like. So you don't end up getting caught up in the busyness and having a whole bunch of, you know, people around you thinking, oh, I never want to do that job. She looks miserable. You know, that's not how you succession plan for a start. But it's also not true. You know, like in any job, there's a lot of things that are challenging, but there's a lot of good things that come out of it. So I think if I was writing a letter, I'd go back to, you know, pre-wrinkly, pre-COVID, pre-mum, I get no sleep, Kimberly, and say, just figure out what you need to figure out on each of those roles as you go, because they're all important and every one of them will teach you something, but just accept that maybe they're not all the best fit and you'll figure it out. Oh, well, I think that's great advice, because I definitely felt until I worked out my own nature and preferences, I was constantly feeling like, I'd have a couple of years lifespan in a job and then it'd be like, I'm over this, it's really agitating. But now I look back on it and go, that's actually just part of you working out what role and what type of role works for you, what you want to do, what area you want to work in. So I think that's great. That's great advice. Is there anything else you'd put in that letter? I would, and I'm such a like I love giving people advice, but in a way that's hopefully helpful. But I do like to shortcut things for people. But I will often say to young leaders, like, find your personal board of directors early. Like, figure out who you can lean on, who's already travelled the road. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's somebody who's older than you or in the same job as you. Or some of the most interesting learnings you can have is completely cross-sector. But making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that you can learn from, but also that you can ask for help from. That's critical. I think so many people have said it, and I'll say it too, that relationships are currency in the world of leadership, not in a negative, ruthless way, but as in like the quality of your relationships and the way you create your network will determine how successful you're able to be in the long term. And if you struggle to do that, it's really going to be a huge challenge for you to succeed if you're wanting to be a leader. And I think what's important about that is, like, I'd encourage people to take that advice, but make sure you do it with, like, make sure it's genuine and not transactional. Because it's like, when somebody is being transactional, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. You know, you're at a networking event or something. Like, it's so obvious, and it says something to their core values.
Absolutely.
And so, I think being able to, you know, contribute in ways that you're not expecting something back. And like, one of my favourite things is just to connect two people. I go, you're amazing, go do something that doesn't involve me.
I like that.
And you know, you sort of can like see what they do. You're like, oh, I had something to do with that. But also, I didn't have to put any more Teams meetings in my calendar to make that happen.
Do you guys have a Slack channel as well? Or
no. But I have heard people talk about it.
No, it was just a joke, because I know there was a lot of discussion over the last couple of days about too many communication channels. But well, I think that's. I guess. Well, is there anything else you'd want to add in that letter?
So I think that the third piece for me would be looking at the two other things, just to be kind to yourself. So I think, particularly, again, as a woman, and we want to run an annual Women in Leadership fundraiser every year. So the gender piece is really important to me, and I particularly feel a responsibility given the sector that I work in and I lead in. Of course. But I think we can, and all leaders and all people don't need to be a leader by title. Sometimes the trap that we fall into is that I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be here. That imposter syndrome of somebody's going to figure this out, that I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think that be kind to yourself is that recognition of, you know what, no one knows what they're doing. Everyone's just trying to figure this out together. And again, that's why the partnership stuff and the diverse team stuff and the overarching governance stuff is so important, because we all have our little piece to contribute to and with. But yeah, probably just encouraging myself to be kind to myself, because again, I think as leaders, you worry so much. The thing that keeps you up at night, you worry so much about the people that you're serving, and you forget to look at yourself with the same kindness. At times. So.
Absolutely. I could get all yogic and Hindu and say that, there's that ahimsa term, first do no harm. So that's like that, the essence, it's a big concept, but the first essence of that is like, be kind to yourself. Don't harm yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's so relevant in our sector too, because we talk about it with children and families all the time, that idea of, if parents don't look after themselves, they're not going to be able to show up for their kids, right? And our sector and the community service sector, it's like, we do a lot of work with our teams around this too. Like, there's such a huge burnout risk because we forget to give ourselves the same kindness.
That's
so people are showing up to work because they want to show up. It's an important thing for them, for children and families. But if they don't look after themselves first, then they're not going to be able to show up for others. So.
I agree. Oh, amazing. Well, look, this has been a great conversation, Kimberly, and I guess, as always, where can we find out more about Prelude?
So the website.
Yep.
So I'll be keen to share that with you. But I'd be keen if anyone wants to ask any further questions. Jump on my LinkedIn as well. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
I've noticed.
Yeah. Well, I'll share this when it's available.
Okay, nice.
But again, I love connection, and I love seeing what other people are doing and learning from other people. So if I can, gift that back out, that would be wonderful.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great yarn, and I